Welcome to my poster session, After Endrew F Building Alliances with Transitioning Families Using IEP Progress Data. I'm Amy Pleet-Odle. I'll give you some background first, reviewing the essence of the Supreme Court decision, and then two strategic frameworks. Then I'll propose some actions we can take where these frameworks intersect. First, you're probably familiar with the Endrew F Supreme Court decision of March 2017. There are two findings that are relevant for us here. First, IEP teams must offer an IEP reasonably calculated to enable a child to make progress appropriate in light of the child's circumstances. And second, IEP teams must take steps to ensure meaningful parent involvement in IEP meetings and ensure that their opinions are considered in establishing their child's goals and services. Let's talk about the second one first. You may know that the U.S. Department of Education announced this version of the Dual Capacity Building Framework in 2019. It was created by Karen Mapp of Harvard to provide a compass schools can use to promote the capacity of educators and families to build strong partnerships aimed at student and school improvement. You'll find a wealth of resources on the dualcapacity.org website aimed at building partnerships across all families. Let's look more closely at families of students with disabilities. Burke and Goldman used the Blue-Banning et al. Principles for homeschool collaboration, and they proposed 6 indicators of family-school partnership. They operationalized these 6 indicators into definitions and examples of observable practice by both practitioners and families. Although I can't go into depth in this poster format, I expect that you would have no difficulty visualizing scenarios that evidence these indicators, as well as scenarios where one or more are missing. These 6 indicators of family-school partnership are represented in the yellow bubbles on my poster. Now, let's consider the transition components that are included in the IEP. As this old NSTAC slide shows, a transition-rich IEP begins with transition assessment and other present levels, and then moves directly to measurable post-secondary goals. The student's post-secondary goals related to employment, further education, and independent living then drive the rest of the IEP. Here's where it gets interesting for us. Let's look at how progress data related to annual transition goals and annual transition activities can be shared with families in ways that build partnership. And what if we put students in the driver's seat of collecting and reporting those data in ways that are meaningful for families? What if our methods are strategically designed to incorporate the 6 indicators of family partnership? Curious? Let's look at 4 examples. First, Juan has a vision impairment. He's working on self-advocacy. He and his team know that learning to speak up for himself when he doesn't understand a concept or the directions, or he can't see materials, will be critical to his transition outcomes. The team created a sample list of self-advocacy actions Juan could take in class. The first week, a teacher or paraprofessional counted how often he took one of those actions in ELA, math, and tech ed. You can see that he spoke up less than once per class, especially in English. One of his teachers met with him to brainstorm the list, adding actions that Juan suggested. Then she passed the baton to him, and he tallied how often he spoke up. Do you see the result? They could have a conversation now with him and with his family about why he advocates more often in tech ed and math than in ELA. Maybe he doesn't need to. Maybe his ELA teacher uses Universal Design for Learning, or maybe he doesn't feel safe there. The most important issue isn't the data here, but his growth in confidence and perhaps how his advocacy impacts other indicators of success and how we work with his family. Bryan is an 8th grader who's working his way through the district's list of career activities. There are options in the categories of career awareness, career exploration, career preparation, and community-based experiences. Bryan is encouraged to select the activities that interest him and that align with exploring his post-school goals. As you can see, as he enters the 4th term, he's making progress with 3 categories. Can you imagine the conversations that the teacher and transition coordinator could have with Bryan and his family as they investigate his progress? They might ask what challenges he's experiencing to completing activities in the career exploration area. This graph will be used to strengthen the partnership with Bryan's family. Stephen is on the autism spectrum and generally avoids interacting with peers. In his recent discussion about his future, he agreed he really should practice pragmatic conversation routines that he's been learning with the speech therapist during in-class collaborative learning opportunities. As he gained confidence, one of his teachers taught him how to track his own data, assigning himself points when he spoke up during one of the routines. Incidentally, Stephen shared this graph of his progress at his IEP meeting, explaining to the whole team, including his mother, why he wanted to get better at conversation. Cassie recognized that she had focus problems that interfered with her completing learning tasks. One of her teachers met with her, taught her an evidence-based metacognitive strategy, and invited her to practice it during the math warm-up part of the lesson and later during the ELA opening drill. As she became more proficient with the executive skills of focus and task completion, her scores on the initial activities in both subjects improved, and yes, Cassie learned to collect, tabulate, and graph her own data too. When she showed her parents this graph of her improvement, the whole team aligned on supporting her toward her future goal of increasing her focus so she could become a nurse. So, there you have 4 examples of using transition-related IEP progress data to build alliances with families and create meaningful parent involvement in IEP meetings. Let me know if you have questions.